Dr. Mullins, school board, thanks for having me and all of us. I'm going to try and get out of the way as quickly as possible. A lot of you are very familiar with who we play for as is. First, I'll say I'm a product of the Brevard Public School system from K through 12th. I'm sitting there thinking I'm only thankful for my education, but I realized when I was in kindergarten in the Brevard school system at KView Elementary School, my school nurse saved my life. But now I'm here to talk about how we can save more kids' lives in the Brevard school system. Played soccer my entire life here at Cocoa Beach High School, and we watched our best friend die in the soccer field from a detectable heart condition that was missed in his standard physical. A kid that we had played with since we were real young, a kid who was a star in this county, and a kid who was well loved. We went to college and we realized that Rafe's story represented thousands of stories across the country, and that it was the leading cause of death in sports and in the school district. As college kids, we were ambitious enough and idealistic enough to dream big, in the words of Dr. Mullins, to try and figure out a solution to bring EKG heart screenings to all athletes, not just collegiate, not just professional. We tried a million different ways, and ultimately we figured we cracked the code eventually, and we did. Where we stand now is the history of our program is over 100,000 student athletes screened and over 90 student athletes, just like our teammate, life saved. In this county alone, we've donated $250,000 from AEDs to scholarships and obviously to many, many, many screenings. So with that, I'm going to introduce the past president of the Florida Academy of Pediatrics, Dr. Cosgrove, to come take it away. Thank you.
Dr. Mullins, board, thank you for letting me speak. I am a pediatrician in Merritt Island, Florida at Atlantic Coast Pediatrics. In 2007, if I knew what I knew now, if I knew then what I knew now, Rafe's life may have been spared. You see, when you look at Rafe, he looked normal on the outside. When I put my stethoscope up to his chest, I didn't hear a murmur. I didn't hear anything wrong. And if I had done an EKG, Rafe may still be alive today. EKGs take 5 minutes of time. And in those cases, it will help to diagnose 90% of all of the sudden cardiac arrests that you will find in our youth that are playing sports. This is a worthwhile test. It's not expensive. And it has saved lives. As you can see, with over 100,000 already screened, 90 lives have been saved. For every 100 that I screen now, which I do in my office, of course, as part of my physical for our sports kids, we find about 4 that have something wrong. And out of those 4, then they go on, and out of those 4, if it's your child, it's 100% for your family that life may be saved. EKGs are worthwhile, and I encourage you to try to support this.
Thank you, Dr. Cosgrove. Our next 3 speakers are Shawn Sima, Marianne Hendrix, and Christine Casburn.
Thank you all so much. I'm the ugly guy with the group. I look like I'm hanging out with a bunch of Abercrombie and Fitch models here. I promise they're here under their own will. I haven't drugged them here. I'm a father of a sudden cardiac arrest survivor. Many of you probably remember me last year when I came and we worked together to make CPR a graduation policy here in Brevard County. Just to refresh, my daughter Alexi, about 2.5 years ago, who had been an athlete her whole life, a cheerleader, went running one night at Sun Bay Fitness, and she fell over dead. Thankfully, there were people in the gym that knew CPR, knew how to use an AED, and before the fire trucks ever showed up, she had a pulse and she was breathing. I'm also a physician's assistant. Like the doc, I've probably done well over 1,000 school physicals myself in my time. And I didn't even know that sudden cardiac arrest was the #1 killer of our kids at school, the #1 killer of our athletes, that every day in America, 20 kids die from sudden cardiac arrest, that 1 in 300 kids have a undetected heart condition that could kill them. I don't know how many kids are in Brevard County in school. I was never a math whiz, but you guys, I'm sure, know that information. Also, like the doctor said, at least 90% of heart conditions can be detected using an EKG. Throughout my time, I worked with Mr. Susan and several others last year to fight at the state level to get CPR a mandatory graduation requirement, and we came pretty darn close. And one thing I learned talking to politicians, talking to people who this never affected, is they sort of give you the blind stare. And then Parkland happened. And when Parkland happened, I realized what we needed to do to bring about the number one killer of our kids, right? We listened to the Stop the Bleed and the school shootings. I have kids in school. I'm all for that. Since Columbine, we've had 223 people die in 19 years at school. We have 7,000 at least every single year of our youth that drop dead. And why isn't this on TV? Well, I'm here. I have several families that have been affected. My daughter is here. But I want you to see these beautiful, healthy, asymptomatic, most of them, children are going to come up here with their parents and they're going to introduce themselves. These are the people that we found that are walking your hallways. We need to be ready. You're going to be shocked when you see these beautiful kids. And Evan will attest, when we go do a screen, even though it's free, we have some people say, no, thank you, I don't want to wait in this long line. So these are the ones that have stepped up and allowed us to screen them. There's several more. I'm sorry. I want to step back and I want to introduce the next speaker, and I think I have to. I apologize for going over.
Good evening, school board. My name is Marianne Hendrix. A few months ago, my son Xavier was actually here and in person speaking about who we play for and how grateful he was to his university and this organization for saving his life. My son graduated from Bayside High School in 2017. He'd been an athlete since he was 6 years old. And he went on to college to play football, so we thought. However, he was identified with an abnormality in his heart. He has an extra electrical pathway that we have now had 3 procedures on in hopes to cure my son. This has blazed a path for him and a passion within him that he's going to raise awareness about sudden cardiac arrest, and he's going to be just as passionate as this guy one day, and hopefully one day be the cardiologist for who we play for. I am eternally grateful for their opportunity and what they do. As a parent, I can't even begin to tell you how devastating that was to us as a family and how passionate I have now become to help raise this awareness. I sit here and I've been watching and I've been listening to everything that's going on, and you talk about being forward thinking and you talk about being leaders, and I see this mission that says to serve every student with excellence as the standard. My mission is to serve every parent with the excellence as the standard, because every parent in this county needs to know how simple it could be to identify that your kid has an issue. My child is a 6'3", 220-pound wide receiver who never had a symptom in his life. We were clueless. He was born with this thing, and we didn't even know. Because, to Dr. Cosgrove's point, every year, off I'd go to the pediatrician with his sports physical. They'd listen to him through a stethoscope. You couldn't hear anything. Look at him. Nothing's wrong with him. Okay, kid, go play football. Thank God my child wasn't a statistic. 1 in 300 athletes die of sudden cardiac arrest. Yes, shooters come in, drugs come into our schools. We try to keep everything out. We have to serve our students with excellence, right? This is killing our kids. And right now you've equipped your schools, and I love the fact that our schools are safe. They have AEDs. They now have stop the bleed things. By God, it has to start with identifying the issue that the student has. Please, whatever this takes, get this on school physicals. This needs to be mandatory. We check their vision. We check their hearing. For God's sakes, check their hearts. It has to be done, and parents need to be made aware. Yes, there's cost involved, and funding, and to the credit of this grassroots organization that has pounded the pavement for the last 10 years, their time has come. It's time to make a difference in honor of my child and every other beautiful child that's here tonight that was identified and didn't fall out on a field and lose their life, because it happens everywhere. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Good evening. My name is Christine Casburn. My son Jake is here with me. He is a 2017 Viera High School graduate who went off to college, never had any kind of symptoms or any problems. And it was in August of this year, he was starting to just not feel so well, but it was not really a big deal. He went through a gamut of tests. Nothing picked this up. He had a routine EKG, and they picked up that he had an exercise-induced SVT arrhythmia, which we're so thankful that it wouldn't have been caught unless he had this EKG. Tons of blood work, tons of other tests, nothing showed up. So really, we're just here to say that we can't stress enough how much these routine EKGs, which are so simplistic, have now given him a chance to, he's had procedures done now to help work for the cure for this, but if he didn't have it, we might be in a situation like some of these other kids that were not so lucky. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Our next three speakers are Santana Lange, Jamie Dudley, and Alexi Sima.
Hello, I'm Santana Lange, and this is my mother, Misty. I'm 17 years old, and about 2 years ago, I was detected with long QT syndrome through who we play for. The only reason I got the EKG was because I was playing soccer, and it was part of my tryout requirements. And without them, without who we play for, I would probably not be here today because it is a sudden cardiac arrest syndrome. And I'm very thankful for the whole program, and I wish for other kids to get this opportunity that I had to be alive and find out what they have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamie Dudley. I am a cheerleader and swimmer at Rockledge High School. This is my mom, Nancy Dudley. I did the free heart screening from who we play for when I got my physical, because I obviously am enrolled in sports. I would have never have known if that I had it if I hadn't gotten the screening, because I have no symptoms and I didn't even know that I had it until I got the screening. But, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, so I'm the big crazy guy's daughter. I'm Alexi, and like you've heard from him before, when I was 16 years old, I was running on a treadmill down at Sunbay Fitness before it closed, and I actually suffered from sudden cardiac arrest. And, through this, I had no idea why it happened then, but through this, we've passed the CPR bill, and thankfully I've gotten super involved in who we play for. And like everyone who's sitting there today, only 10% of kids that suffer from sudden cardiac arrest actually survived, not including what brain damage they might have and what function of life they might have, but that's just the 10% that do make it. Every kid sitting here today now has the chance to make it because of who we play for or because of an EKG. And so I wanted to all team up together with everyone and give every kid a chance, just like all the kids sitting here today, not that something like Rafe that could have been detected, that could have been stopped through a simple physical with all his years playing soccer. Just like all the kids sitting here today, I've actually screened. I found Santana's heart condition. Another girl over there, I was at her Titus Soul heart screening. There's actually been about 5 people that I have screened myself from this. So that's 5, severe heart conditions that I've caught and alone in myself. So we should all team together and, really give all these children the chance to live just like how we have, and we all get a second chance, and no kid should have to even start with a second chance. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next three speakers are Sarah Worthington, Anna Maria Stanley, and Heather Chena.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and this is my mom, Erica. I'm a senior at Titusville High School. I play volleyball, and it was detected that I had long QT syndrome in July this past year after I had a routine EKG at my sports physical that was offered because of who we play for. So I just want to thank them for that. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Anna Maria Stanley.
Hi, I'm Anna Maria Stanley, and this is my son, Angel Stanley, and he's an athlete in Satellite Beach. He's a skater, he's a baseball player, he's a football player, and a baseball player, sorry. He was never screened, and in June I was on vacation in South Florida, and I was sleeping, and when I woke up I found out my son was in the emergency hospital all night, and that they couldn't get his heart down, but he got lucky when they gave him medicine 2 times. That his heart actually went down in August. They gave him surgery, and he had Wolff Parkinson White, and he's here today, but I definitely hope that everyone here could be more educated on it, because I definitely wasn't. I came from a family of athletes, and no one ever suffered from anything like this, and that's it.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Heather Sinka. I'm the parent of an 8th grader and senior here in Brevard County. My senior, Nina, was diagnosed with restrictive cardiomyopathy when she was 7 years old. We feel lucky and blessed her heart disease was detected by her pediatrician, who recommended a simple EKG screening at such an early age. Nina had the same type of heart disease as Rafe had. Unfortunately, Rafe's had gone undetected. The ironic part of our story was that Rafe passed away the same year Nina was diagnosed, just a quarter mile from our home. Little did we know that both of our families were facing our own challenges with pediatric heart disease. Nina was able to go about 7 years before her heart became so sick she needed a heart transplant. Nina received her gift of life on September 24th, 2014, when she was 14. We will be forever grateful to her donor for giving our Nina a second chance at life. When it came time to celebrate Nina's first heart transplant anniversary, she decided she wanted to do a fun walk on the beach and also use the opportunity to raise money for an organization of her choice. Well, after meeting Evan and learning more about who we play for, it was a no-brainer for her. The money raised from her walk would go to who we play for to provide heart screenings for students here in Brevard County. Nina just celebrated her 4-year heart transplant anniversary this past September. Thank you, God. Nina has raised over $55,000 over these 4 celebrations, which have been used to screen over 3,600 kids here in Brevard. My hope as a parent of a child who averted a tragedy from sudden cardiac arrest and received a second chance at life due to what started as a simple EKG screening after a well-check appointment is that this opportunity be available to all of our kids here in Brevard County. We talk a lot about the safety of our children right now, but EKG screenings are a huge part of keeping our kids safe. We can prevent tragedies like Rafe from happening in the future, so let's make EKG screenings a mandatory part of our school physicals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our last 2 speakers are Kurt Easton and Stephen Dean.
Good evening. My name is Kurt Easton, and I am the chairman of who we play for, chairman of the board. I also happen to have been one of the coaches on the field, on the soccer field, the day that Rafe passed away. And it also fell to me the following day to have to announce to all of his teammates and classmates and parents who were all at my house tracking what was happening with Rafe in the hospital that he passed away. And at that moment, the entire group had a collective moan and sigh, and they began crying. it's a very tumultuous experience for a community, and obviously you can see the impact that it has had on our community. And I'm so proud of Evan and my other sons that have been doing this now for 10 years. It's such an important thing to make this a mandatory requirement. How many life-threatening ailments are determined through a basic physical? I would venture to say 0. But you can see the impact that it had had on our one little tiny community in Cocoa Beach, Florida. And you can see how many other communities are represented right here tonight that they would have experienced a very similar circumstance. But do you realize that there are up to 9,500 other communities throughout the country that experience this every year, and it is completely preventable? So, having said that, I would like to thank you all for the action that you are going to be taking, which is to require this as a mandatory health screening for your student athletes as we move forward. We look forward to working with you to make that happen. This is an epic moment. There aren't too many school boards in the country, particularly of our size, that have taken this step. And I think that you all will be leaders in this perspective as we move forward, and we look forward to working with you. I want to recognize Jamie, who is Rafe's sister, who is filming this here in the room. And I would also like to say that you guys, thank you so much for coming, and you don't need to stay for the rest of the workshop. Evan and I will be here in case there are any questions when the discussion occurs here a little bit later. But thank you all, school board, so much for your consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.